Pine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Yate Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all legends, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Gospel. Today's topic I have chosen: how to release from the clutch of karma. We are all in one way or other bound by karma. It is because we have involved in karma, we are experiencing the fruits of the actions we do. So, the whole world is a field for action. The moment a being is born in this world, the next moment he starts with doing some action. So, it is because of the actions we pass through various types of experiences in life, pleasant, unpleasant, grief, misery, suffering, all these things, because of the actions. So, that means we should know how to manage these activities, what attitude we should have, what should be our motive. Everything is important. So, through karma, we have to cut the snap of the karma. Sri Ramakrishna said to Nanda, the effect of karma wears away if one takes refuge in God. The moment you turn your mind towards God, the moment you accept the divine power, then surely you will be freed from all the effects of karma. Sri Ramakrishna says again in another place, some farmers irrigate their fields with great labor. Because of their intense labor, they can grow crops. Similarly, one must practice spiritual discipline laboriously in order to avoid the clutches of Maya. These are the words of Sri Ramakrishna. Simply telling how to get rid of suffering will not work. You have to initiate spiritual disciplines intensely, with determination, and with spiritual attitude. You have to be conscious every moment about your actions. Not simply brooding over what has been done in the past. Just concentrate upon what you should do, what you should think, and how to improve yourself, how to uplift yourself. So, you have to initiate parallel actions in order to snap the clutch of karma, which is binding, which is bringing never-ending sufferings. All the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna have dwelt upon this subject very thoroughly. Swami Brahmanji says, man remains subject to happiness and misery as long as he is bound by karma. Happiness means not the spiritual happiness, it is here meant worldly happiness. This is a lot of every person, no matter whether he is learned, whether he is ignorant, whether he is good or bad. Do not distress the mind by thinking of sins. For however great a sin might be, it is great only in the eyes of men and not in the eyes of God. His one glance can scatter off the sins of millions of births. One glance. You can see Sri Ramakrishna's life, how through one glance he uplifted so many spiritual aspirants to spiritual heights. But of course there is the effect of karma. If you do any wrong action, you must suffer from disquiet of mind and other consequences. The whole universe is being played upon by the law, by the nature's law. The nature's law is the law of karma. Nature is serving you. But if you don't know how to make use of that service, if you abuse the service of the nature, then surely you will have the bad experience of it. Somebody posed a question, how can we reconcile the relentless law of karma ruling man's destiny and the idea of an omnipotent, beneficent God? Swami Chidananda replied, yes, they appear irreconcilable if we take them literally as two compact aspects of the same theory. Strictly speaking, those who take karma in the cold, calculating spirit cannot accept the idea of a divine providence, all powerful and all merciful, and vice versa. In the divine scheme, governed by love and compassion, pain and pleasure come to us for our own good in accordance with the divine will, irrespective of the law of karma. That's what some think. They do not take karma so seriously. Swamiji says, even prarabdha can be destroyed by God. But God will not destroy it when you want it done. If He thinks that you are a great bhakta and deserve special consideration, He may destroy your prarabdha. Otherwise, it will go in its own way. There is an instance in the life of Yogi Nityananda of Ganeshpuri. Very thrilling life. One day, one mother came with her child. The child was blind, both the eyes. And she was praying to Yoganandaji, Nityanandaji. Was praying to Nityanandaji, Swamiji, please bless my child to have the vision. Swamiji said, well, you have to bear with, because what is happening to this child is strictly according to the law of karma that everyone does in the life. There is no way, but still the mother persisted. Oh Swamiji, you are a yogi purush. Why can't you do? It's possible for you to give vision, etc. She began to plead more and more, appeal to her. All the saints are really very loving and compassionate. And seeing this pitiful cry of the mother, Nityanandaji said, well, you ask the child, let her ask whatever she wants. Ask the child to come and ask me. The child was not a baby, probably it was 9 or 10 years old. Then the mother went and began to tell, go, you ask for the vision. Swamiji will give you. You will be able to see me. She began to say repeatedly, go, 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 ask. Then the child came to Swamiji. And Swamiji immediately said, well, what do you want? Immediately, she's a girl. She immediately answered, well, I want to see my mother at least once. I want to see my mother. Very good. You will see. That's how Swamiji said. Then next day, generally those days, they would go to take bath in the river. Generally what the mother would do, she would keep the child on the sand bank and then she would go and finish the bath and come. Same way that day also, next day. She kept the child on the bank and then she went to take bath. And she is about to return from bath. Immediately the child is running because her vision opened, She could see the mother first time. She is seeing the whole world. She was amazed. She was ecstasy. She was in ecstasy. Oh Ma, how beautiful this whole world. And mother was thrilled. What? Our Swamiji gave vision to my child? He came and hugged the child. That's all. Then she became blind as before. Why it happened? See, the force of karma is such. When the Swamiji asked her to ask what you want, the child should have simply said, I want to have the vision. But she said, on the other hand, please give me the vision at least to see my mother once. That was granted. She could see the mother once and over. Again the effect of karma sitting. Temporarily you may give some relief. But normally speaking, everybody has to burn the effect of the karma, whatever is done. Another Swami Turiyanji said about this, what you were saying yesterday about predestination has no meaning. In that case, nothing can be done on earth if everything is predestined. Why should people act at all? Even virtue and vice become non-existent. The only case in which predestination holds good is the resignation of the perfect devotee. He works automatically. There is no difference whatever between his will and the divine will. But that too has its test. What is the test? No wicked action can be done by him. He never takes a false step. That is spiritual test. But if you know you have bad impressions, there is no cause for worry. Begin to correct them from today onward. It's a blessing you become aware of your bad habits. That's the hope. But then you have to correct immediately, start life afresh. Whatever is done is done. Don't look back. Create a set of new impressions. After a few days you will find that the old bad impressions are being replaced by good ones. However, a lot of practice is necessary if you wish to perfect yourself. For example, Swami gives another example. Every day you use a pen knife and you put it back in the same place. This is a matter of habit. And this habit also is due to samskaras. Even in the dark, you can put your hand in the right place and find the knife. If you suddenly place the knife elsewhere, when you want the knife, you will first put your hand in the old place and feel for it. Then you will remember that you have changed the position. Afterwards you will go to the new place and get the knife. This is called the samskara of abhyasa yoga, or the yoga of practice. Now Krishna also tells about this abhyasa yoga. Whatever you practice will later on become samskaras. In order to make samskara, you have to be very strong in your actions, in doing impressively, devotedly, wholeheartedly, vigorously. If you do actions, they become samskaras. If you have really understood that your old impressions are bad and that you should acquire good ones, then don't delay. No, not even for a minute. How much they know the value of time. Direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Value of time. How much time you waste in useless things. Every minute is golden. Every minute. You don't know what next moment will be. So you have to make use of the best of the time. The best period of your life is slipping by. It won't return. The best period of life is youth stage. See how people are just wasting their youthful stage in rotten things. But waste is waste. It doesn't come back. It won't return. But if you practice, you will see for yourself that within a few days a change will come over to you. But you have to practice sincerely. Then you can feel the effect also. Everything will become clear and easy. Good impressions will establish themselves. Swami Adbhutanandaji, everyone is great. He says, so long as a man is subject to the law of karma, he is aware of good and evil. When through God's grace a man is released from the bonds of karma, the man's awareness of good and evil also goes. For good and evil are the fruits of karma. As you sow, so you will reap. It is the Lord who established this law of karma. Why? For the benefit of the world and mankind. That's the only way you can learn. Only through your personal experience you will learn. Divine providence has given man the sense of free will, and the principle of karma is left to the man to do as he wishes. If he chooses to do actions which bring him less happiness and more misery, who is responsible? He alone is responsible, not God. These are the words of Adbhutanji. Another Swami Vivekananda says, if you get rid of all your desires, rebirth will not take place. If I push a thing, for instance, it will move so long as it has got that momentum, and if not pushed further, it will then stop. So we provide new impetus to our karmas in every birth, thus continue the cycle of rebirths. But if we check it completely, that is, if we rise over our desires, we will have no further rebirths. Bhagavad Gita defines karma nicely as giving away for the emergence and growth of beings. This definition is in accordance with the Vedic idea of yajna, or sacrifice. Men offer ceremonial oblations to the gods, and the gods, thus pleased, grant and sustain the desired objects, progeny, health, prosperity, and so on. This idea of karma as sacrifice can be extended to all happenings in life. Any creation, any sustenance needs sacrifice. That means spending of energy. We begin encountering karma as soon as we are born. A baby has to eat, breathe, move. At every stage of its growth, a giving away is involved. As a child measures into manhood, more and more karma envelops him, more and more. Man's whole life is indeed ceaseless action, tiresome but unavoidable. Retired from the waking, he goes to the dream state. As a dream, in the dream he encounters dream activities. There too he cannot escape karma. Even when he sleeps, there is karma. He has to take and spend oxygen. What happens to man happens to all living units, animals, birds, insects, plants. In their own worlds, the non-stop bustle of action goes on. So too in the non-living entities, the mountains, the oceans, the stars, planets, galactic systems. The sun, which is responsible for all life, works by spending itself in the vast process of nature, animate and inanimate. There is karma, sacrifice, spending away. The question naturally comes as to what propels karma, this ceaseless chain of action. The answer is desire. We read in the Chandogya Upanishad that creation began from the desire of God. The desire originated from God himself. The one without a second. He desired to be many. He projected himself as many. Of course, there is a difference between the desire of God and that of man. God instigates karma manifested in the threefold processes of Srishti, sthiti, laya. Creation, preservation and dissolution. But he is above this show, ever unaffected. Coming to the human level, we see that a man wants certain things to emerge and grow. In the case of a child, its actions are motivated by unconscious desires. But as a child grows, conscious desires come in and form a part of its mind. If the endless desires are left to themselves, life will be very complicated. So, there is the necessity of directing and shaping our desires. This is called education. Directing and shaping. That's what Swamiji said, character making. Education, life building principles you must have. That's the purpose of Sri Ramakrishna Universal Temple. That's why we begin to teach the child. Do it this way. Don't jump, don't go there. We direct our desires. We train our desires. Otherwise, the mind of man becomes a jumble. However, the mind continuously brings desires. Continuously. Why does man involve himself with endless desires? Why isn't he satisfied even though he knows that maybe 1% of his desires can be fulfilled? The metaphysical answer, according to Vedanta, is that man's true nature is a total reality, an all-comprehensive reality. That's why in his very nature he can't remain satisfied with little. Man more and more wants totality, the totality of knowledge, of wealth, of health, of happiness. Unconsciously he craves that totality. Vedanta says, when you consciously realize this meaning of desire, you have come to a true spiritual life. You know then that this satisfaction of desires cannot be accomplished effectively by pursuing desires in a piecemeal, fragmented and dispersed way. You have to ask and understand what the totality is. That totality is God or man's true self. Man's desires show that man seeks God all the time, but he does not know it. Really speaking, it is a desire for God that impels man to seek what is not God. It's just like going for spiritual bliss. He's going seeking the non-spiritual, secular joy through his sense contacts with the objects. It's a self-contradiction. True. That's why it is called Maya. Maya means it cannot be explained even though we see it. The total fulfillment of desires is possible when you have reached God, when you have understood your own spiritual nature, when you have touched your divine nature. You do not ask little things. Just as a multi-millionaire does not run for a few coins. There was a very rich person in Bangalore, was known to our ashrama. I used to go to him occasionally for some funds, for some ashrama activities. One day he took me in his car. A big house and big compound. The car was coming out of the gate. Just at the gate, some person was begging, "Sir, give me something. I don't have any food for many days." And do you know what he did? He even never looked at it, how much he's taking. Simply put his hand in his pocket and simply gave it. It was more than 30 rupees or so. He didn't count it simply, because it was nothing for him. He's a very rich man, So that's the idea here. When you have touched your divine nature, you don't ask little things, just as a multimillionaire does not run for a few coins. But we can't all of a sudden understand that impulse of God in us. We have to encounter karma as best as we can. When you are born as a man, you can't be free from desires. You can't simply say that you do not want this or that. You can't. You have to grow, and that growing process is important. The question then becomes how we can encounter karma in such a way that we become free of it. Let us not think either that we face only the desires of this lifetime. The Indian spiritual tradition teaches us that man is a traveler from life to life. In each life, he creates numerous desires, and the actions performed as a result of these desires leave what is called a reaction. That means a fruit. Briefly speaking, it is said that good actions leave good reactions, which will bring happiness. Bad actions leave negative reactions, which will cause suffering. All the time, then, we are carrying the heavy burden of our stored karma from past and present. Where is the escape from this vicious circle? For most of us, the pattern of life remains on the surface. Sometimes we suffer, sometimes achieve success, sometimes we are frustrated, sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry. But for some of us, deeper questions come. What's the meaning of this traveling from life to life? The great spiritual teachers tell us that really speaking, there is no meaning in this. Only if you try to understand that there is something about this traveling, can you stop at this meaningless encounter with karma. Spiritual knowledge, the discovery of God, the discovery of your own spiritual nature, these are the meaningful objectives about this endless traveling. When we seek the understanding of these spiritual goals, we face and encounter karma in a different way. Any karma is motivated by desire and is directed to an objective. The spiritual seeker's karma springs from the desire to know God. And what he wants to attain is God. Encountering karma in a spiritual way does not mean running away from life, but rather becoming more and more conscious of our spiritual destiny. If we can experience God, then we rise to another level where there is real peace, because God is above this so-called life bound by the laws of time, space and causation. Therefore, for a spiritual man, encountering karma becomes the way of transcending karma. That's what I said in the beginning. By initiating parallel actions, you can release yourself from the clutch of karma. Now there are three ways to encounter karma fruitfully. The first way, the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita says, is to do whatever you do with a spirit of detachment. You are born with desires, but you now curtail them because you are a seeker of freedom. Whatever you do, you will do with great responsibility and care, but in simple language, you will not be attached to the fruits of action. If we look into ourselves, we shall see that whatever we do something, we spend more energy on thinking of the fruits than doing what is necessary for performing that action. We create dreams. Oh, I am doing this, it will bring this, and yet there is no certainty of the dreams becoming true. The spiritual attitude is, a duty has come, I shall do it the way it has to be done, but I shall not dream about it. When it is done, and I shall take up another duty. In this way, the mind undergoes a great training. We grow calm. The restlessness of our mind is not really due to the action, but to pondering the results of the action. If we can stop that, we become more and more ready for spiritual insight. The first insight that will come to us, if we can encounter karma in this spirit of detachment, will be a sense of calmness. we shall begin to feel tangibly that we are doing all these things, but in the background of our mind there is freedom and peace. This is one way, a way for a person who at this stage may not even believe in God. The second way is when you have faith in God. Lord Krishna says in several verses that it is God who is really the supreme operator of things. Yantra Rudhani Maya. All the activities going on in this universe gain their power from God. In your little life, if you can think that all you are doing through your body, your mind, your ego are really coming from God, your karma becomes a spiritual practice. If you are a painter and have been able to produce a wonderful painting, you as a man of God will remember that it is by God's power that this wonderful work has been done. Whatever a faithful devotee of God does, he says by God's grace, he did this. And the fruit and result also come by his grace. In this way, he neutralizes the bondage of karma. At the same time, he is careful not to create unnecessary desires because he knows that this world is not his permanent home. He is traveling to God. If he can grow in this identification with his spiritual nature as a spark of the divine, a child of God, his identity with his little individuality will slowly vanish and his journey will end by sharing the nature of God, no longer bound by karma. The third way is that of knowledge. The way of a person who has been more conscious of his own nature as the ever-free, pure spirit. He has read that man's self is not really a fraction of the infinite spirit, because that infinite spirit cannot be fractioned, cannot be fragmented. Man's true self is infinite and as such is eternally unattached. Therefore, a man of knowledge tries to feel that really he is the witness. He tries by contemplation to separate his actions, his senses, and the instruments of his actions from his true nature. His perspective is that all of the activities in nature do not really affect him because he is the self. To be sure, he sees, he eats, he dances, he goes, he does these things, but all the time he feels it is a show going on to which he is the eternal witness. Here there is no question of God or offering the fruits of action to God. Here he encounters karma by separating himself from Prakriti, nature, through knowledge, through inquiry. The way of knowledge also neutralizes karma. He has separated himself from the karma by witnessing it. Sakshi Bhuta. Be on the witness stand. Observe the things. Whatever method we follow to encounter karma spiritually, we must feel a love for our goal, or there will not be much intensity in our spiritual practices. We are pilgrims to God, and our journey ends only when we reach Him. Just as a river emerges from some distant spring and ends its journey only when it meets the ocean. If this spiritual perspective is strong, our life pattern will become different. A natural detachment, a natural indrawnness will be noticed. The manifestations of ignorance, namely our false pride, our cruelty, our jealousy, our intolerance, our untruthfulness, our pettiness, they all will run away. They will be ashamed to show their face because our goal is God, who is all peace, all light, all free, immortal. For the man who sustains this ultimate purpose of life, karma loosens its bonds and allows him to achieve that which our true nature has been seeking, totality. The totality of existence, consciousness, and joy is in God from the standpoint of devotion, and in our true self from the viewpoint of knowledge. So, these are the methods how to get release from the clutch of karma. So, we have to have proper attitude, proper management, proper determination, and certainly by initiating parallel activities, you can snap the karma which is touching you all the time. Sri Ramakrishna said, I live in page 833. I live in the midst of worldly people. On all sides I see lust and gold. Nevertheless, this is the state of my mind, unceasing samadhi and bhava. That's the reason Pratap said at the sight of my ecstatic mood, good heavens, it is as if he were possessed by a ghost. Rakal, M, and the others were speechless as they drank in this account of Sri Ramakrishna's unique experiences. But did Mahimacharan understand the import of these words? Even after hearing them, he said to the Master, these things have happened to you on account of your meritorious actions in your past births. Mahima still thought that Sri Ramakrishna was a sadhu or a devotee of God. The Master nodded assent to Mahima's words and said, yes, the result of past actions. God is like an aristocrat who has many mansions. Here, referring to himself, is one of his drawing rooms. The Bhakta is God's drawing room. It was 9 o'clock in the evening. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the small couch. It was Mahimacharan's desire to form a Brahmachakra, a mystic circle prescribed in the Tantra. Mahima formed a circle on the floor. It was Mahimacharan's desire to form a Brahmachakra in the presence of the Master. Mahima formed a circle on the floor with Rakal, M, Kishori, and one or two other devotees. He asked them all to meditate. Rakal went into an ecstatic state. The Master came down from the couch and placed his hand on the Rakal's chest, repeating the name of the Divine Mother. Rakal regained consciousness of the outer world. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, the 14th day of the dark fortnight of the moon. There was intense darkness everywhere. One or two devotees were pacing the concrete embankment of the Ganges. Sri Ramakrishna was up. He came out and said to the devotees, Nanta told me that at this time about midnight one hears the Anahata sound. In the early hours of the morning, Mahimacharan and M lay down on the floor of the Master's room. Rakal slept on a camp cot. Now and then Sri Ramakrishna paced up and down the room with his clothes off like a 5-year-old child. It was dawn. The Master was chanting the name of the Divine Mother. He went to the porch west of his room and looked at the Ganges. Then he stopped in front of the pictures of different gods and goddesses in the room and bowed to them. The devotees left their beds, saluted Sri Ramakrishna and went out. The Master was talking to a devotee in the Panchavati. The latter had dreamt of Chaitanya Deva. Master, in an ecstatic mood, said, Ami, Ami. Devotee said, but sir, it was only a dream. Master said, is a dream a small thing? The Master's voice was choked. His eyes were filled with tears. Sri Ramakrishna was told of a devotee who had divine visions even while he was awake. The Master said, I am not surprised. Narendra too sees forms of God nowadays. Mahimacharan went to one of the Shiva temples to the west of the courtyard and chanted hymns from the Vedas. He was alone. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. M bathed in the Ganges and came to Sri Ramakrishna. The Brahmani, who was grief-stricken on account of her daughter's death, also entered the room. The Master asked the Brahmani to give M some prasad to eat. Brahmani said, please eat something yourself first, then he will eat. Master said to M, take some prasad of Jagannath first and then eat. After eating the prasad, M went to the Shiva temples and saluted the deity. Then he returned to the Master's room and saluted him. He was ready to go to Calcutta. Master said tenderly, go home safely. You have to attend to your duties. Shall stop here. Any questions? All right. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart. opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name that bath for weary souls. Various art thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is the prayer for wealth or to give, the playthings of lust or the ties of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. How I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who steerest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere, may all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous reign tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the free make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding beauty of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe is satisfied.